All right, Lucy, Conrad, Caleb, are y'all ready to finish the saga of the X-Men versus the Juggernaut? Yes, we're ready for the final installment of this great adventure. Remember, the Juggernaut is Professor X's stepbrother who's received incredible power from touching the sacred ruby in the Temple of Sidorak. All right, and now he's inexorably approaching the professor, and the X-Men seem powerless to stop him. Already, uh, the uh, the angel has failed to stop him, and Cyclops was unable to stop him with his eye beam. In fact, the Juggernaut grabbed the angel and put him in front of Cyclops' power beam, and now Angel is out of commission. The Cyclops is worn out. Iceman tried to encase him in a block of ice, but as he broke free, the ice boulders knocked out Bobby, and Marvel Girl is with Professor X in the back room, and so it's up to the Beast. Remember that the Beast was attacking him and bouncing all around the room, and that's where we're going to pick up our story, right there where we left off. So there's the Beast. Thup, zit, walk, bark, zit, whiz, woost. He's just bouncing all around the Juggernaut. But the Juggernaut says it doesn't matter how agile you are, you can't stop me from advancing forward, and sooner or later I'll manage to grab hold of you. The Beast says, now that's a depressing thought, if ever I heard one. Well, speaking of thoughts, suddenly a sharp, powerful, commanding thought rings out in the brain of Hank McCoy. It's from the professor. He says, Beast, loosen his helmet. It's the only way to defeat him. And so the Beast springs to the top of the Juggernaut and grabs his helmet. He says, we mustn't forget our manners, Jug. A gentleman doffs his hat when entering a room. Well, the Juggernaut is not a gentleman. And as the Beast struggles, Juggernaut says, you fool, did you expect to remove my helmet before I could grab you? Well, says Beast, it did seem like an awfully clever idea at the time. But look, the Juggernaut has grabbed him. He says, clever or not, it may well be your last idea. And so he grabs the Beast's foot and jerks him off, says, now once again you'll feel the matchless power of the Juggernaut. Beast realizes, I can't extricate myself. And look, with his powerful forearm, he slams down on the Beast's foot. Thud. Says, I'll give you no chance to escape me by means of fancy footwork. Now you're helpless. So he brings his two fists down. Whoom! Beast says, injuring one foot doesn't render the Beast helpless. My hands are equally dexterous. So he moves away, walking on his hands. Bah, says Juggernaut, I'll get you sooner or later. Later, I hope, says the Beast. And as he charges through a wall, thwack, Beast thinks, he's heading just where I want him. He threw himself into the danger room. His momentum hurled him to the floor. If I can just reach the control panel before he regains his feet. Do y'all remember the danger room? It's where the X-Men train, and Professor X has fitted it out with all kinds of obstacles. Let's see what happens. The Beast reaches. He says, my leg is severely sprained and my entire body bruised and aching, but it is imperative that I make it. So there you are, says Juggernaut. Now there's no way for you to escape me now. This is your finish. Click. So Beast says, I've just got to stretch just a little further. There, I opened the master control panel. So there's the control panel. He thinks the pain is excruciating, but I dare not stop now. You're wasting your time, says Juggernaut. Nothing can stop me from reaching you. Beast answers, that, my arrogant antagonist, remains to be seen. You know, if nothing else, reading X-Men comics will improve your vocabulary, right? Because the Beast uses all these big words. Look at the flame. Beast says, I did it. I activated the entire obstacle training complex. It should serve to delay him until the others can pitch in. The Juggernaut realizes, jets of chemical flame shooting at me. Is this the best you can do? Well, that looks pretty good to me. And so, as if in answer to the Juggernaut's sneering question, the Danger Room suddenly seems to come alive with new menaces as the Beast steadily manipulates the control panel, though each movement is agony to his injured body. So, whoop, there's a punching bag. Here comes spinning blades. Whiz goes a rocket, and thock, here comes a rope out of the floor. Perhaps this is more to your liking, says Beast. We try to give our guests their money's worth. And so look at all these obstacles that are attacking the Juggernaut. Will they be able to stop him? I doubt it. The supernatural power of the Juggernaut is almost incalculable. Despite all the dangers, he forges ahead, smashing each and every bit of apparatus in turn. Have you forgotten? He asks. I am the Juggernaut. Rip! And he tears apart all of the obstacles. Still unwilling to surrender, the desperate Beast unleashes the most powerful danger in their arsenal, a swift rolling 10-ton barrel of steel. Room! Here comes this cylinder of steel rolling right at the Juggernaut. Surely that will stop him? But no, the irresistible force meets the immovable object, an object from whose body flows a current of such potent energy that the mighty steel roller is stopped cold before it can strike him. Look, the force field that surrounds the Juggernaut stops the rolling steel cylinder. Squeeze! And not only did he stop it, thinks the Beast, but he managed to roll it back towards me. This could well be the end of a promising career for my favorite X-Man. And so here comes the rolling cinder aimed right at the Beast. What will he do? He gets up on his hands. It's too late to locate the button to stop that thing. I've only one chance. I mustn't think of the pain. I've got to use my legs. And so he jumps up. But because of my leg, I couldn't leap high enough. Thud. And his head strikes the steel cylinder. And oh no, now he lays unconscious. That's what Juggernaut realizes. He's unconscious. He can't trouble me anymore. I'll continue on till I trap Xavier. Then I'll come back and finish the Beast and all of them. Meanwhile, a thoughtful Johnny Storm drives down Madison Avenue, trying to arrive at a momentous decision. Do you remember that when last we saw Johnny Storm, he was receiving a powerful thought impulse from Professor X, and he's trying to decide if this is real or not. He's thinking, I'm receiving that mental contact again. It seems genuine enough, but do I dare to trust it? Oh, if I was the cautious type, I wouldn't be a member of the Fantastic Four in the first place. What am I scared of? And so he drives off in this gorgeous Chevrolet Corvette Stingray. Oh my, that's a beautiful car, isn't it? Good, thinks Professor X. I have dispelled the cloud of suspicion from his brain. Now I must lead him to us as quickly as possible. And so he directs Johnny. I shall direct you to where you are needed. You must relax. Try to think of nothing. Let my mind guide yours. Okay, mister, says Johnny. It's your show. Your car is too slow, says Professor X. Park it and become the Human Torch. Then follow my thought beam. Fortunately, he gets out of the car before he flames on. A lot of times, the torch melts cars. So flame on! And he flies up in the air, and he hears Professor X. When you arrive, you will follow my commands implicitly. There is more at stake than you can imagine. Back at the world's most unusual private school, Marvel Girl asks, "Did you contact him, Professor?" "Yes, Jean, and now it's time for me to enter the picture. My brain has been fortified to the maximum degree. If I am ever to defeat the Juggernaut, it must be now." And so, after energizing his brain, he removes his helmet. "Be on guard, my dear," says Professor X as Marvel Girl wheels his chair in the direction of the Juggernaut. "We're almost upon him. Has Angel recovered from his encounter with my stepbrother yet? His mutant talents are very important to my plan." "I don't know, sir," answers Marvel Girl. "I haven't seen him for the past few minutes. There's Juggernaut now." "So, Xavier," says Juggernaut, "despite everything you could do to stop me, despite all your puny X-Men, I have cornered you at last." Professor X answers, "Perhaps it is I who have cornered you, Kane." "Never use that name again. I am the Juggernaut. Kane Marco no longer exists." "And neither shall you after I—" "What? What are you doing?" And look, Marvel Girl, with her mental power, is elevating the Juggernaut. She says, "I'm suspending you in the air telekinetically." "Easy, Marvel Girl," warns the professor. "He's too strong. Don't strain yourself." The professor is right. He's advancing against me. He's pushing my power aside as though it's a physical thing. Look, Juggernaut's aura is now pressing aside Marvel Girl's mental telekinesis. But then, at that tension-packed instant, here comes the Torch. "You are just in time, Torch," says the professor. "Your adversary is over there. You must somehow ensnare him." "I hear you talking, pal," answers the Torch. "Just sit tight and watch my smoke." Whoever he is, Torch thinks, my flames don't affect him. There's some sort of energy field around him which they can't penetrate. I might have known the X-Men wouldn't need anyone unless they were up against something special. So look, Johnny's flame is surrounding the Juggernaut, but it can't touch him. That energy aura protects him. And the professor's mental command comes clearly to the Torch. "Keep encircling him, Torch, even though it seems in vain. Your mission is to confuse him, to keep him occupied while my X-Men deliver the final blow." Torch says, "A fine thing. I'm doing the job of a 10-cent pinwheel." So all he's doing is just a fancy distraction. But wow, what a powerful distraction. Look as he flies around and encircles Juggernaut with a flaming lasso. Although he sits quietly, hardly moving a muscle, the many-faceted brain of Charles Xavier is performing many functions at once, and one of those functions is to summon Warren Worthington III, the mutant we know as Angel. He cries out, "Angel, wherever you are, come to me. This is Professor X. Come to me. We need you." And there's the Angel, a short distance down the hall, lying among the debris where he had fallen. The tall, slim, winged X-Man is prodded by the powerful thought command. We need you, Angel. You must answer my summons. We need you. Oh, look, the angel is weary. He's weak. He's beaten. He's crawling on his hands. But he thinks the professor is calling. I can't let him down. So he staggers to his feet, still weak, wobbly in my knees. I won't use my wings yet. I have to save my strength to fight the Juggernaut. Flames up ahead. It looks like it is. It's the Human Torch. The torch is still flying around. He says, my fireballs aren't stopping him, Professor. What else do you suggest? You may discontinue them now, answers the professor. The final phase of my plan is about to begin. And now his thought command goes out. He doesn't want Juggernaut to hear. Brace yourself, Angel. Wait for my next mental command. He realizes the angel is still weak, on the verge of exhaustion. I must gain him a few more seconds. And so he sends out another thought command to the torch. Torch, land in front of Juggernaut and do exactly as I tell you. Split-second timing will be all important. Juggernaut says, I knew you'd have to land sooner or later. Now you too are helpless before me. All right, Professor again. Stand ready to bring your flame to peak intensity like an exploding flashbulb. Now, Torch, now. Boom. Look at the torch. He spreads his arms and his legs. He shines his light like a flashbulb. It blinds Juggernaut. Perfect, says Professor. You blinded him temporarily. He cannot fight what he cannot see. You staggered him. And Juggernaut says that sudden brightness, my eyes, everything is spinning before me. It's up to you now, Angel. Take to the air. I won't fail you, Professor. And now his next command is mental. Says, I know you won't. My next commands will be telepathic to confound Juggernaut. You're too low, Angel. Fly higher. Though we cannot see you, he can hear the beating of your wings. That's better. Stay out of the reach of his groping arms. The torch watches the angel as he swoops and flies around. He says, boy, that guy could teach me things about flying. And that's true. That's all Angel does is fly, so he's very good at it. Juggernaut says, you serve no purpose but to increase my rage. You cannot harm the Juggernaut. He kind of makes sense to me, Professor, says Torch. What are you trying to accomplish by having the angel fly around him? Just watch. It will soon become clear to you. Now, Angel, the professor commands telepathically. This is the instant. Dive! Dive! So the angel swoops down. This will be your only chance. Everything depends on it. You did it. He's vulnerable now. Look, the angel manages to grab the helmet. Remember, the beast had tried to remove it, and even though he didn't succeed, he accomplished in loosening the straps. And so now the helmet is gone. And Juggernaut realizes it. He says, my helmet. Now he's susceptible to Professor Xavier's mental commands. Seconds later, after the Juggernaut's vision has returned, Professor explains, under my mental commands, the beast loosened your helmet during the battle. Then to culminate the plan, the angel removed it completely. With or without that helmet, says Juggernaut, you won't escape me. Nonsense, Kane, says the professor. I am the master here again. And look, yours was an acquired power, obtained by freak accident of chance, but my brain is part of me. My power is my own, and this is but the smallest part of it. And look, he shoots out a mental blast at the Juggernaut, and he cannot withstand it. He falls to the floor. No, you can't beat me. You can't. You were always the winner. Even when we were young, I hated you. I swore to vanquish you someday, and I will. I will. The professor looks down at his stepbrother and thinks, never has there been such raw hatred, such an insatiable desire for vengeance. Though his body is defeated, his hate is propelling him forward. And so, inch by inch, Cain crawls toward his brother Charles. He reaches up with his hands. If I must taste the bitter dregs of defeat, I'll drag you down with me. No matter what happens to me, you must pay. All your life you've been ruled by greed, envy, avarice, says the professor, and now it has come to this. If things had been different, we might have been friends, we might have truly been brothers, but you would have it no other way. This final chapter was written when we first met. This is the only way it could have ended. And so with one more mental blast, Cain is defeated and he falls backward. He falls to the floor and the torch says, I don't get it. All you did was look at him. Professor answers, it is best you think so, my young friend. He will recover, and without his helmet, the authorities will be able to keep him in confinement. As for you, you will return to Fantastic Four headquarters now, with no memory of what has occurred. But the X-Men shall remember, and shall ever be grateful to you, Johnny Storm. And so, with his mental power, Professor X erases Johnny's memory of this entire event. But speaking of memory, I'm remembering that the Human Torch met the X-Men quite a while back when the Fantastic Four fought the X-Men when Professor X was under the control of the Puppet Master and the Mad Thinker. Do you remember that great story? That was the first time you saw the X-Men in action. And now the Human Torch has acted as an ally to the X-Men. So he flies off. Seconds later, a famous flaming figure blazes across Westchester towards the heart of Manhattan. And he thinks, boy, talk about daydreaming. I can't remember how I flew this far from home. I must really be getting absent-minded in my old age. His old age. If he's old, I must be ancient. Well, as a matter of fact, we better move on. So, the following day, things are somewhat more placid among the world's most unusual teenagers. And look, there's all four of them lined up in hospital beds. Cyclops says, we've never all been injured at the same time before. Bobby says, who cares? With a nurse like Jean, it's a pleasure. Hank says, my mother used to kiss me to expedite my recovery. But Jean says, I do not happen to be your mother, Mr. McCoy. And Warren says, that's for sure. So, Professor says, rest up, my X-Men, so that you will recover quickly from your injuries. You have fought well, and I have something for you after you are up and about. How about that? We're going to get a reward. Come on, Professor, tell us what it is. Guess what their reward is? Is it something exciting? Is it something fun? It's a broom, says Professor. For each of you, the school is a shambles after your fight, and somebody has to tidy it up. Okay, so that's the end of the adventure of the X-Men and the Juggernaut. Took us a long time to get through it. But you know what? There's another adventure ahead of the X-Men that's even bigger and longer than this one. Let's see what's next. Among us stalk the Sentinels. Look, it's a giant robot, and he's threatening the professor. And here come the X-Men to defend him. Well, this is a very long story arc that we have ahead of us, and we'll start it the next time we meet to talk about the adventures of the X-Men. Are you enjoying these stories? I hope so. I'm enjoying telling them to you. All right. Talk to y'all later. I love you. Bye-bye.